BBK, we get a lot of comments on these podcast episodes.
We do.
Diving in, and it's kind of overwhelming how most of them are just, this is my favorite show. This is a great show. Please don't stop. I don't think I've ever been a part of anything that's gotten this significant degree of a positive response.
It's amazing. I am super thankful. And we literally send screenshots back and forth to each other of comments throughout the week. And so many of the comments we actually want to talk about, discuss. And you, the listeners of the Dual Comm, have given so many ideas for things to chat about. And we're still going to do topics from the viewers on the main show. But we figured we need to talk about more of these things in its own place. And that, I believe, is the starting point for Party Chat.
This is basically like a spin-off podcast. This is where we're gonna chat with you all and do it old school style. Respond to some comments, expand upon the Dual Comm without taking over the show. I love, like you said, responding to comments, especially when they inspire a good section. But at least personally, when I'm listening to stuff, I get kind of bummed when it's like, today's a viewer comments episode. And it's like, okay. It's like the clips at the flashback episodes of TV shows or whatever.
It's a bottle episode.
Yeah. We're doing a bottle episode.
It's a bottle episode.
I'm doing a bottle episode.
So we are going to roll through some. We have a massive list. We'll probably, do what we can within a certain amount of time, and then we'll just kind of keep hitting this up. And so if this inspires you all to send more kind of questions for feedback rather than purely just, stating some stuff, then we will absolutely get to answering some direct questions. But we had a first one here about not feeling Assassin's Creed, and I kind of like where we could go with this in terms of where you're playing games. Do you want to be the one to read it, or should I?
Yeah, I've got it. Hog fan Shane. I really needed to hear this episode. Honestly, I was 20 hours into Assassin's Creed Shadows and just not feeling it. It's weird because I'm looking forward to Ghost of Yotai in a couple of weeks. So instead of trudging through like normal, I decided to just shelve the game and move on to Tsushima, knowing I fully plan on pausing it when Ghost of Yotai launches. The other problem, that Xbox of mine is sitting in the living room with games like Elden Ring, Night Rain, and Starfield asking me, where did you go? Thank you, Hog fan Shane.
We struggle with that a lot. I think we've kind of talked about that, and you've been kind of going through the opposite of that with your PS5 recently, of you start to feel a little guilty about not playing certain things once you have other games. It's almost like a companion to the backlog guilt of like, I have this whole system full of amazing games, and why am I still just playing the same Pokemon or whatever on Stardew on my Switch instead of playing the new games?
Yep. I can like totally feel this because at the start of the year, I'm deep in love with my newly purchased PlayStation 5. And right after I finish Horizon Forbidden West, I kind of just like drop the PlayStation, the Toy Story meme where it's like, I don't want to play with you anymore. I literally dropped it and moved on to like PC stuff and Switch stuff. And I didn't touch the PS5 for a long time. A lot of that too is just life and routine. Like it was maybe easier to sit at the desk or just be around that setup. But the last game I was playing in January was Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. And right after the giant open world game that was Forbidden West, I didn't want to play another open world-ish game. And I'm a massive Final Fantasy VII nerd. Well, dude, all I've played for the last like 2 weeks, 30 minutes in the morning when I get up at 5, and then 30 minutes before bed is FF7 Rebirth. And I freaking love it right now. I've probably put 10 or 15 hours into it over the last few weeks. So Hog fan Shane is like right on it. Sometimes you just don't feel it. And I can't tell you exactly why now it hits perfectly. Maybe it was a bigger break, but just listen to that. There's nothing wrong with putting it down because it might actually super vibe with you later. Because right now I'm back in that loop of, man, I should buy more games for the PS5. I should spend more time on the PS5. This thing is sick.
Yeah, I think the big thing is to not be super rash about it. I remember when I worked at GameStop, I would feel really bad for people, and obviously you can't judge what other people are doing or whatever, but like people would sell their entire Xbox 360 and PS3 like system and collection on a whim because they're like, yeah, I haven't been playing it the past couple weeks. I'll probably pick up an Xbox later. And I'm like, you're just giving all this up because you've just been busy? Like, what?
Yeah. I want 10% trade-in credit, please.
Yeah.
I'll take $50 for all this crap. Get it out of my house.
And like, no judgment if you need the cash, if you truly just don't think, like, obviously everyone's got their own decision to make, but I think it's too easy to fall into the trap of, well, maybe I just don't like this anymore just because you are interested in something else for a brief amount of time. Like, if you're loving it up in Ghost of Tsushima and Yotai's about to come out, so like, heck yeah. But you'll probably come back to Night Rain and Starfield, and it'll be that vibe. Like, maybe around the holidays, maybe once you've beaten those games and you're like, well, I don't want to do another one of those right now. Let's, like, we've both kind of returned to our PS5s with very, very different contexts. You came back and have been doing Rebirth, and I have been hooked on Elden Ring for like 2 weeks now.
Oh man,
I say
I'm
2 weeks. I have about like 6 or 7 total hours of gameplay, which is not much. But for me, having gone like 2 months barely playing anything, Elden Ring is like the best thing in the world.
How is it so far, by the way? Are you loving it?
I am loving it. It has clicked in ways I never thought like a formal Souls game would. Realize it's not a Souls game. You know what I'm saying? Like, I picked it up. I think we talked about it on the show back in like the spring. I was like, this is gonna be the year I pick it up. And I've kind of just kept stalling because I was afraid that I would get there and I wouldn't click with it. I wouldn't be in the right space. And weirdly, the past couple of weeks, even though they haven't been amazing, like I've been in it. Like I've been patient. I've been calm. I've been working on my dodge rolls and watching some build guides so I know what to upgrade to actually get the most out of it. Because frankly, if I went in blind, and I think this is what happened a million times before, is I go in blind because I'm like, no, I want to experience it fresh. And you make all the wrong choices for upgrades or for like picking up weapons or whatever, and then your build is just broken. And so this time I've got a strategy and it's paying off. The game is still challenging, but a lot of it is like most of the challenge is just paying attention. Like,
yeah,
I can still just get smashed by like basic wolves and stuff that I can kill in one hit. But if I'm like reading a Discord message while I play, I'm not dodging at the right time, and then
I love that. So you are on PS5 for Elden Ring? Yeah,
yes. I think I'm just gonna stay there.
I'm less distracted when I'm on a console. Seriously, when I'm at the PC, even though like I can try not to, I will alt tab, I will look something up, all that jazz. Whereas typically on the couch, you know, I'm just doing that one thing, and maybe that's part of it. So
yeah, I there's obviously a lot of really cool mods and like photo mode stuff. And so frankly, as stupid as it is, I might buy a PC copy just for the photo mode for like thumbnails or something. But I like, especially like you said, for a focused kind of game like that, like being able to just lock in and like that is all you were doing. It makes a huge difference.
That photo mode, there's a guy on Patreon named Otis_INF. And he makes photo modes for all of these games that don't typically have them. So usually most of these new releases that comes out, if you subscribe to his Patreon, you can download the tool. And so I got that photo mode. That's the one that like VatiVidya and all the Dark Souls YouTuber people use to make their ridiculously cool cinematic stuff.
I love that.
It's a pretty... you'll love it because it's enthusiast level tool. It's not made like totally for ease of use.
Yeah.
But that game is so gorgeous. I
Yes.
highly recommend like thinking about it and going down that route. So
I find myself like just panning some of the vistas like constantly, and of course the depth of field like shifts focus to my character, and I'm like, no, I don't want my character in this. I just want to see the background.
That's one of those games where the art direction way outclasses the graphic fidelity, because if you actually hold it under a microscope, they're kind of ugly. The actual game itself has not the same technical marvel that these new photorealistic games do.
Yeah.
But it's way in favor of great art direction is way better than the fidelity. Does that make sense? I don't know. I'm struggling to say that.
Like there are plenty. I'm playing on, I think, prefer quality mode on PS5. So it's feeling probably 30-ish FPS. I haven't actually checked. Which is fine, surprisingly. Like, it's not ideal, but I'm liking it. But there are plenty of instances where, like, I see tons of pop-in. I see, like, there's a weird, like, level of detail thing that looks like things just kind of, like, are blurry and dithered, and then they come to shape, which they play with the art style enough with, like, the painterly stuff that
Yeah.
it blends it really well. And like, so I've been distracted a couple times just kind of looking at it, and then past that, like once I'm playing, I don't care. I just do not care. Like it's beautiful. So you had mentioned you've been playing Final Fantasy VII on the PS5.
Yes.
I have been in the analysis paralysis that we have talked about many times, and I have what is actually a Discord message, but it had stemmed from a response to our podcast, which is why I'm including it here, talking about the bloat of playtime for the remakes and how that compares to the conciseness of the PS1 original. And I am in that analysis paralysis of like, I have never played Final Fantasy VII. I've obviously heard of it as the cultural icon it is for decades, but I haven't sat down and played it. And I have it on PS1. I have part of it on the PS4 original launch. I don't know where to start. And the idea that it's like 10 times longer is definitely off-putting.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I'll read the comment. Gizmo said, I don't buy games unless I plan to start playing them immediately. I bought Final Fantasy VII Rebirth earlier this year, 60 plus hours in, and in the middle of chapter 10.
Yeah.
Blah. I'm tired of all the filler. For comparison, I played the original Final Fantasy VII last winter and finished the entire story in 40 hours. So I could talk about this one. I could talk about this one for days, dude.
Yeah.
This is like in my wheelhouse.
For 40 hours even.
A Gizmo is correct. And also not correct at the same time. Perfectly spot on. But also there is a counterpoint. So the original FF7 is one of my favorite games of all time.
Yeah.
I've played through it many times over. Pivotal for my youth as a childhood. I collected old demo discs, the old Tobal demo disc, which has music tracks that would later go on to be featured in further Final Fantasy games. I've nerded out about this freaking game and this story for so long, and it is so good. And he is correct. They took what is essentially about a 25 to 40 hour game. The PlayStation 1 game you can probably wrap in about 25 to 40 hours, depending on how you play. And they have built it into a 3-part Tetsuya Nomura mega piece where they turned the entire initial Midgar section into its own game in Remake, and they did such a crazy good job with it. So yeah, ultimately when we pull credits on the end of the third game, it's probably going to be 100-hour adventure, like if you add up all of the games total.
Right.
I did not super love elements of Remake, the first one, because it did feel like the combat moving towards this more action style. I'm a purist. I wanted that turn-based stuff. And as time went on, I've grown fonder and fonder of it, and the changes they've made and the way they've like built a lot of the cinematics and whatnot. To a Gizmo's point, he's 60 hours in, and in the middle of chapter 10, I am 22 hours in at chapter 10. So they took the second part of the game, which after you've left, I won't do story spoilers, but there's a point in the original game where you get to go explore this giant, massive world. You leave the city of Midgar, and all of a sudden it opens up. The game just starts to open up with more optional content, more mini games, more side quests, and a huge part of Final Fantasy VII for a lot of people is the immense amount of side content, mini games, collectibles, and stuff that you could do off the beaten path. And stylistically, they did the same thing with Rebirth. The unfortunate part is the moment the game kind of begins, it doesn't really convey to you super clearly that you can just go mainline the story. You don't have to mess with all of the open world stuff because you've got a big map, you've got towers to climb, you've got collectibles to go after, you got chocobos. There is an immense amount of side content here, which actually is quite faithful to the original in the sense that back in the PS1, when you stepped out into that world, you could literally go spend like 20 hours doing chocobo racing and chocobo breeding. There were incredible legendary things that were there. I felt that way about 10 hours into Rebirth, like, oh, I don't want to have to do all this stuff. And I kept getting whopped by the bosses.
Yeah.
But it was just me sucking at the combat. Like once I spent some more time, now that I'm back with it, now that I'm getting like a feel of things, I've just been straight up mainlining the story the entire time and not having to touch any of the side quest or open worldy stuff unless I want to. So that is my very long way to say I both agree and disagree with a Gizmo. If it was January of this year, I would totally be like, man, what a bunch of bloat. But at the same time, too, the original, bro, this game is unbelievable.
Yeah.
They have turned it into the most insane photorealistic cinematic movie. You and I remember when Spirits Within was
Yes.
coming to theaters. Long
Yeah.
story, or a long time ago. It was like a Final Fantasy CG movie that had a theatrical run, and it looked amazing, right? At the time, there was nothing quite like it. If you go look up a Spirits Within trailer now, it looks like dog.
It looks
poop.
like a
It's
PS2
horrible.
game.
Yeah. And so to get to play something that now is an entire 40 or 50 hour movie of one of my favorite games ever, and they've realized this world in a way that I've only dreamt of, it doesn't feel real to me, dude.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel real. And that's how the first part, like Midgar, the way they built it and all this stuff is so good. But yeah, it's fluff. And I would say if you're on the fence, you have a PSP. You have a gorgeous PSP.
Yeah.
Go play FF7 on your PSP. Put 30 minutes in before bed at night. Play through the original. And then if you have the inkling, if you have the desire, play through the remakes. I think from a technical perspective, it's worth playing through them. If you hate the gameplay, you probably... It gets better in Rebirth, but...
It gets better 100 hours in.
Yeah. No, it doesn't. If you hate it from the start, it doesn't get that much better. Rebirth got better, and there's a lot to do with it, but I'm still a turn-based purist. That's the end of my comment. That's sorry.
That was very informative. That definitely... It helps that I already have Remake, the PS4 copy at least, so like I could give it a shot. I do think I at least want to put a swing into the PS1 original, so because I'm familiar with a lot of the visuals and some of the set pieces, but obviously having never played it, I feel like at least getting a good chunk in would give me more appreciation for where they took it. Because yeah, I do remember the amazingness of Spirits Within and Advent Children just like blowing my mind.
Yeah.
So yeah,
there's so much fan service in the remakes and so many little details. Okay, in the original, when you're running around Midgar, one of the bosses that you fight is a house. It's called the Hell House, and it's literally just a cottage that you and Aerith are fighting, and it's so stupid. And I'm not going to spoil anything, but what they did with it in Remake was freaking amazing, dude. I was screaming at the screen.
Interesting.
But if you ever played a Kingdom Hearts game, it's got some Nomura Kingdom Hearts nonsense, and I'm not going to spoil it, but it's not the same. And they're trying to do something, and I'm trying to look up nothing about it because I don't know what they're trying to do, but I have a feeling about what they're trying to do. And anybody who's listening,
interesting.
I highly recommend playing it, dude. It's so like either the original or the remakes, but I liked Remake. Remake was so linear, though. Anyway, let's move on. Sorry.
Sweet. We got a comment from Chiral Drifter.
Chiral. Yes.
I'm the
Death
guy that
Stranding.
can't pronounce anything.
The
I
Chiral
see.
Network.
BBK, Epos, as much as we like to give Nintendo flack, they're the only console that still feels gamey. I'd argue with a heavy certainty that Nintendo is the only company that has perfect first-party feel-good games. What do PlayStation and Xbox have? Nintendo's first-party mascot games have a certain charm about them, one that is lighthearted, usually has a good story, and is easy to pick up and put down. Like both of you said in many pods, gaming today can leave you feeling more drained than when you first started. Nintendo does a great job of creating hyper-accessible console with easy-to-pick-up and put-down games. This is totally disregarding their business practices and pricing strategies, and while I know we don't agree with both this and their game key solution, they still make great gamey games better than the rest of the consoles. I'd love to know your opinion on this. Please let me know.
That's a great comment. I don't know if I don't really disagree.
Yeah.
With,
I mean, that has
it.
been our struggle.
Yeah. like I want to switch too for the software. I hate the rest of the stuff that they're doing. And yeah, you pay the premium. And typically those games are not always, but like their first party ones are insane. Like Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild are reasons to own the Switch.
Yes. I really struggle to reconcile Nintendo's both business practices and their like handling of like community things and takedowns and all that stuff with the fact that they just make good games. And like it definitely makes me miss the era of us not thinking about all of those extra things, of us just being like, oh yeah, it's a video game. I want the video game. Let's go play it. Like I wasn't thinking about any of this when I was buying 3 versions of the same generation Pokemon game. Like it just wasn't even a consideration.
Yeah.
These days we're so much more especially as you get older, like you're more discerning about where you spend your money, which is so funny to say given how much access we have to games. It's almost like we don't need to be as discerning, but we are. I really struggle with how inaccessible the Switch 2 has gotten. Game pricing wise, console pricing wise, because the Switch 1 was that. It was, you saw every kid from like 6 years old to 14 had a Switch or a Switch Lite like glued to them everywhere you went, because they were cheap, they were accessible, they were super portable and tiny, and games were everywhere. And now it's like, clearly it's still been a big launch, as much as we had lower hype on it, and like there was a lot less discourse online about it. Like there wasn't a lot of coverage of it. It clearly sold bananas, like in crazy amounts.
Yeah.
And so maybe the feeling doesn't matter in that regard. Like maybe that's all it takes. Like maybe ironically, that's the thing that the other companies just are lacking. Like if they had the gamey games, we wouldn't be debating their exclusivity strategies or their subscription model or their pricing, because we'd just be playing games.
Yeah. I've struggled with this one for a long time too, because Nintendo and PlayStation are the two mainstays. There was one period between like 2004 and 2011 where I was Xbox, and that was because of Halo, right?
Yeah.
But always, you go back, Nintendo's games have such polish. I just played Super Mario Galaxy not that long ago. I've borrowed this Wii from a family member, and some of the first party games are just insane, and they always have that polish. And I do appreciate that pretty much if you got the Nintendo platform, you're going to get a few exclusives each year from their main lines that are just insane. Like from a platformer perspective, Donkey Kong Country, Tropical Freeze, and Super Mario Bros. Wonder, unbelievably good games. And you can't find platformers really like that on other places. But I think what you said is true. I'm bummed that they are leaving behind the ultra affordable entry point. And it is hard, because I can understand the argument when you look back at like PlayStation 1 and N64 game prices, looking at some of those old magazines, you realize, oh, wow, they really have managed to keep these price points pretty steady throughout all these eras with inflation and whatnot. I hate the conversation because now games are different. They monetize them in like 18 different ways, right? And you're not getting the same product that you used to get. So it's more nuanced. We could talk about it more later. But I want to say that I do believe people overlook Sony. The meme of like PS5 has no games. I'll stand behind. I wish they had more AA. I wish they had more coming out. The state of play was just yesterday, and other than the Wolverine game, not a ton. Looks like crazy interesting.
Saros,
it feels
though.
pretty light. Saros looks awesome. Yeah, another House Marquee game, and that's going to be great. But PlayStation 5's like modern, insane single player spectacle era is full of God of War Ragnarok. You've got Demon Souls, the remake.
Yeah.
You've got Returnal. You've got Ratchet and Clank, A Rift Apart. The Spider-Man games like Spider-Man 2, Ghost of Tsushima, Ghost of Yotai. I'm seeing Yotai get great reviews and people saying it's Sucker Punch's like greatest game ever.
Yeah.
You got Astrobot, Final Fantasy 16. You got Rebirth. You got Horizon, both Zero Dawn and Forbidden West. Along with that, I'm trying to think of Death Stranding 2 just came out. Super well received. Great game. Gran Turismo 7, unbelievably good racing game.
Got every year's re-release of Last of Us.
Yeah, I left that out. Like, I enjoyed Last of Us 1, but I never moved on and tried 2. So all of those are giant blockbuster mega hitting games for the most part. And I think that is Sony's current modern image.
Yeah.
So I don't think they've lost their way all that much. I wish they'd leaned more into the PS3 era. Like, the Kevin Butler commercial ads, right?
Yes.
Those are so good. And that was a rebrand. Like the original PS3 commercials with the Spider-Man logo were like weird 3D renders of like the baby and the eggs rolling around. And it was like super futuristic. And then when they rebranded to being like, no, the power's to the player, it's all about playing. I would like more of that. Right now, PS5 and Sony feels incredibly corporate and stuffy as a brand,
Yes. I remember that era because both GameStop and PlayStation, like it was all about the gamers. And now it's like, here's our legal representative to talk to. It's like, okay.
For real.
Power to the shareholders.
Power to the shareholders. Xbox is, who knows?
Yeah,
Let's not even go there. Let's move on. Thank you, Kyril.
Had another Switch comment I wanted to bring up from This Is Citrus saying, I always forget how young you guys are. I don't know how old you have to be to say that about us, but sure. Also, not having enough hours. This is an interesting one I wanted to get your take on. Also, not having enough hours played on Switch 1 is a weird reason not to pick up a Switch 2. Just sell the Switch 1 and then buy a Switch 2 and you can play both games.
Yeah.
For most people, yeah, that's probably valid. You and I typically aren't the trade-in type. And I think that's kind of the difference in like decision making here. And it's kind of funny because I even though we did that, my family did that as for a while. Like we traded in our Xbox when we got a 360, and I came to regret that. But like we did that. You're still making a significant investment there. You're not getting a Switch 2 for your Switch 1. You're still like, I don't know what the exact trade-in credit is right now.
For an OG is like $100 to $150.
Yeah, so you're
Switch
still
Lights are jumping in price. Ever since they bumped the prices up because of the whatever in the last little bit, everything went up. I just did a video on this like a month or two ago, like why you should get an original Switch right now, because the used market was like really, really affordable.
Yeah.
And then everybody started like looking at this OLED mod you can get for Switch Lite, and so the prices have gone up. But let's say I gave some games away. It was an incredible sell on eBay. There's $150. So I'm looking at $350 to get the Mario Kart World bundle, and then add the 80 to it to get like Donkey Kong Bonanza or whatever. It's still a lot of money. And I think here's the thing, like for me, I don't like, I'm so spoiled. And I feel it's like such a first world problem, but I have held on to my old consoles.
Yes.
And I have games on the old consoles I want to play. And I have a PC. So there's stuff I need to play. And I don't like buying new things unless I'm really going to get the use out of them, unless I'm going to pour into it. I feel so wasteful. That's the word.
Yeah.
When I'm working on a PS3 video right now, and I got a stack of PS3 games behind me right now.
Yeah.
And I'm literally like enjoying Metal Gear Solid 4 so much, just getting footage, that I'm like, I just want to keep playing this. And so the thought about dumping, $500 or even like 400-ish bucks if I were to sell the old system into something new, I'm not at the point where there's enough software ready to go for that system. And I also think about the broader market of, like you said, parents coming into Christmas time, shelling out $500 for the Mario Kart bundle, right, for Switch 2, and then another set of Joy-Cons or a controller if there's a sibling, and then one or two games. It's a hefty investment, and I like when Nintendo was positioning itself as like we're the affordable option. But
yes,
can we jump back on that line for a second? Like Kyril was mentioning the Nintendo thing. Nintendo's been making bozo moves for a long time. Their software offsets it, but you and I still remember very clearly, you couldn't even upload Nintendo videos on YouTube and monetize them unless you were in their frickin' multi-channel network nonsense and gave them a significant portion of the ad rep. It's only in the recent years that you can actually be a Nintendo YouTuber.
Yes.
And like they dissolved that program, what, like 7 years ago, 8 years ago?
Yeah, it was relatively recently in the grand scheme of things. And they still do create, like, if you sneeze in the direction of like a ROM hack or an emulator or whatever, and they send you game keys, like you just won't get game keys from them anymore if you're a reviewer. Like they are so weirdly particular about control over their news and that kind of thing. And even like if you do captures on the Switch, like some of the games just have giant text over the screen, like that's like, this game copyright Bandai Namco, blah 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 blah. Like
like the screenshots or whatever. Yeah.
Like so many little things like that really screw over parts of either the press or enthusiasts or the community. And there's a lot of hypocrisy like when it comes to that with regards to like nuking ROMs and things like that. And then you come to find out their own ROM service uses
they
pirated
downloaded
ROMs. On top of the fact that their emulators are most likely using borrowed code from public emulators. Like there's just so much with that. They are a very old school Japanese company that follows very different rules with regards to PR than Western or more Western friendly companies, that it is really hard to support them on that kind of a level. On top of the fact that you look at certain game franchises, like I've mentioned before, I'm not a big Mario guy, but I love Pokemon. But somewhere along the line, Nintendo or the Pokemon Company or both are really doing an injustice to the franchise right now. And while I'm very excited for the new Pokemon game, it's even if I trade in a Switch, like I'm looking at GameStop, and obviously support your local game shops or whatever, but like if you're a GameStop Pro, an original Switch will get you $71.50 up to
Not bad.
that credit towards the Switch 2.
That's not
So
bad.
It's not, but you're still paying $450 to play Pokemon.
Yeah. Yeah.
And their track record with Pokemon right now is not great. And I'd be really bummed if I'm like, yeah, I'm going to upgrade. And then I trade it in and it's doo-doo.
You win as a consumer by waiting. I'm typically like, I didn't get a PS3 until they released the Slim and dropped the price 2 years after that. So they dropped the price in 2009 to $300 and they made the Slim in that like September of 2009. And it was literally me saving birthday money and asking for help at Christmas. And I got it in 2011 at Christmas. And I played some Skyrim and I played some Uncharted 2. And I have incredible fondness towards that. And I am sure we'll reach a point with Switch 2's library where I'm like, man, I super duper want that. And there will probably come a price drop at some point. Maybe there won't. Who knows? Prices are only going up at this point. So maybe I'm eating my words. So why don't we move on to the next comment from Flopmeister. There's a lot to be said about PC gaming and a lot of benefits for it. But my personal gripe that makes it challenging to play different games without going bankrupt is by reselling the physical media I buy, especially for games that have really good resale value. You can really just buy, for example, a PS3 and a PS4 and have about a 50, is that the pound or the euro thing? I think 50 euro budget. And you can make 50 euro for games last multiple titles. The ones that you buy initially and then the ones in the future. Gaming is an expensive hobby, so making your money last is really the goal of the hobby. If that means playing PC is better, then go for it. But for me, it's by reselling the physical media I have when I'm done with them to fund my next game, all pre-owned and maybe a few bids here and there. I think I get that. You can speak to this really well because you're the physical ownership guy.
Yeah, and through college, like that's 100% what I did. I'd go buy a game, play it, trade it in. I'd even do so within the matter of a couple weeks. I took advantage of, I don't know if they still have it, but GameStop had a like 24-hour, maybe 48-hour return policy where like if you truly just hated the game and you weren't going to play it, like you could go take it back the next day and just refund it, at least for the used games because they could just put it back on the shelf. And so there was one like a Gundam game that was just horrible that I returned, and then I did that with Demon Souls when he was like, "You're not gonna like it," and I absolutely returned it. But I definitely traded in a bunch of games. Now these days, I regret some of that because a lot of them are hard to get. But if you're the kind of person that wants to maximize your gaming experiences and you don't plan on replaying a bunch, absolutely. The problem is these days, that's so much less viable even on console because so much is moving to digital. I mean, I'm not convinced we'll have disc drives on PlayStation 6 and whatever the next Xbox is, and everything moving to handheld means you're at a disadvantage by getting physical games in the first place. Like even playing with the PlayStation Portal, like I'd have to go switch discs in my physical PlayStation to then play on the Portal. Like they're really positioning it so that you don't want physical media. And then I think next generation, they're going to try to push away from it. And the used market is absolutely a way that you can leverage it to continue spreading your budget around. But this is something that back in like 2012, Total Biscuit was making videos on because he truly did not agree with having the used market, that if you cut that out, then we would see what we see on PC, which is Steam sales. Like when I can wait an extra year, because that's what you'd probably be doing for used copies anyway to actually get them at a decent price. Like to me, I'm not going to buy a used game for $50 because that's basically the new price. Like I'm going to wait until it's cheaper anyway. And it's so much easier to go get like bargain bin games that are way cheaper than to just spend $50 on the new game and save $10 whole dollars. Like to me, I'd rather wait. And then with Steam sales, like that $50 game you could get for $20, or if you wait an extra year, $10. Like as much as I'm the physical media guy, and I do definitely often advocate for the advantage of trading and selling and borrowing that you can do with physical media. Budget wise, you do have an equal alternative on Steam. You don't get to just keep pushing your money forward, but it's hard to argue when you can get some AAA games for like $15 on a Steam winter sale or whatever that you're not making your money go as far as it can. And you're not getting the $50 you put into a game back. You're getting 40 or 30. And so you're still bleeding money as you do the trade-in cycle.
I loved the used side of this thing. I've got Metal Gear Solid 4 right here. It's got the $10 used gameplay, or the sticker, game price sticker from GameStop that I got it from college. It's more expensive now. If you go on to eBay, it's like $20 at this point. There's just no longer there's no physical options for PC. And if you can get something on GOG, do it there for sure.
Yes.
I have this feeling though, like if ever Steam disappears, right? And people are losing their libraries, everybody's going to resort to piracy. Like a huge portion of people, if they've bought the game legally and then there's no way to access it digitally anymore, it's that whole, I'm not commenting on the choices behind it. I'm not telling you what to do or how you should be or any of those things, but like, what is the phrase? If I don't own it, right? Then what you know what I'm trying to refer to.
If buying isn't owning, piracy isn't stealing.
Yeah, that kind of a thing. So I want to own everything if I can physically. And that's the way I go. PC I buy on Steam for the most part. Like I say, GOG is the way to go. I only have a handful of GOG games. Most of the time, I'm just going to buy it on Steam and be done with it. But for all my console games, I will absolutely, first line of defense, go look for the physical. It's kind of a pain in the butt. I get it, like swapping discs and getting up and doing it. But maybe the part of you've mentioned this before, a big reason to go play FF7 Rebirth, it's in the disc drive. I'm not going to get up and go trade discs. Like this is the game I'm playing right now.
Yeah, no, it's part of the ritual. And I like buying games on GOG, and I will legitimately burn my own CDs of them so I have a backup. And
that's cool.
Because since those are DRM free, like I can always just find the installer and run it. But that's why I seek out, I think I talked about it in our show at the start of the year when we were getting back into the PS5. Like I will go seek out games, like I will balance what games I buy on console so I can own a physical copy of it. Like I got Gears of War Reloaded on Steam, but I'm also going to buy a PS5 copy so I have a physical iteration of it. Like I just want to own a copy. And I know ownership with newer gen console physicals is already questionable at this point anyway, but like, yeah, I'm not arguing against it, but I think it's easy to kind of overinflate the value of selling games, especially if you have games that mean enough to you that you want to replay. We are very sentimental gamers. We are not we're going to go plow through the year's top 20 releases one after the other and then trade them in and move on. Like we are looking for the games that we're going to stick with and come back to and whatever. And so, like, I've looked at my library sometimes, and I've been kind of like, is this too much? Should I slim down? I could probably sell a good half of these on eBay and make some money for me, and I could probably trade in some of the PS5 games I never bothered to play and get some credit. But like, it's hard to knock that I'm gonna play them eventually voice in my head. But I do think
getting rid of that stuff. I don't, because that's so fun to revisit. It's like building a movie collection, and it's like, well, I've seen it once, I'm done with it. I view them kind of like films. Like I want to go back and get footage of that at some point. The Metal Gear Solid 1 discs that are behind me is from a mom and pop game shop when I was in college that I bought, and now it's like super expensive. Like the PS1 stuff is really hard to come by. It wasn't back in the day. So anyway.
It's so annoying learning about games that I had that I traded in that are now like way too expensive for me to justify. And frankly, again, if you're looking to get the most out of your money, Game Pass, PlayStation Plus, like back in the day, if we didn't want to own something, but we wanted to experience it, we rented it or we went to a movie theater or whatever. Like we didn't own it. We didn't buy it. Like buying and trading is a cool thing, and GameStop and game shops have been cool over the years, but like, they were always still kind of like a sub niche of people who did the thing. Like most people just experienced it through rental services or whatever with like movies and shows and that kind of stuff. So like there's nothing wrong with that if your priority is moving through them quickly and then passing them along.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. All right, shall we bump to the next one?
We should. Sean1771. Love this series. The chemistry between you guys. The experience of moving from multiplayer competitive games to single player is one that I have actively been trying to do for the past few years or so. I used to play a ton of Counter-Strike in my teen years up to Global Elite, face it, level 10, and in competitive leagues. Now that I'm older and I don't have the same time or desire to play to improve, I have been wanting to play single player games that I missed out on those teen years. For me, it's been kind of a struggle to really sit down and enjoy a single-player game. CS and other shooters used to give me such a dopamine rush at times that my bar for what I consider enjoyable for a game has been skewed. Although I enjoy playing more single-player games and enjoying more of them, readjusting myself has been quite a process so far. The series definitely helps with how I approach and think about my gaming habits, so it's very much appreciated.
That's a great comment. You know, I had a really good friend who skipped all the cutscenes. I was so excited to show him like Metal Gear Solid 3, and he literally was just trying to mash the start button to get through every cutscene. And then I realized, I'm like, he is not the type of player who likes this experience. He is the type of player that we should have put Burnout or SSX or something in there where it's like, I don't want to read, I don't want to like engage, I don't want to watch, I want to play. And I'm in those moods plenty of times. There's like many afternoons where I don't want to sit through 10 minutes of exposition. I just want to go experience gameplay. So what do you think of this comment?
I mean, yeah, that is why, like, for me, session games are so valuable, whether it's a game like SSX or roguelikes or old school. Like we've got a new generation of old school side scroller hack and slashy games. Like we've got the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, we've got Ninja Gaiden Ragebound, we've got the new He-Man game. Like those kinds of super old school gamey games are definitely the way to go for that. It's something that I really loved about Pokemon. Like there was a few lines of text, but since they didn't have voice acting or anything, like you just kind of went into the game and did whatever. It was still kind of sandboxy in that regard. If you are really struggling to connect with single player games and want experiences that give you that quicker rush, to me, that would definitely be where to go. Because that's been our big issue. Like we love some of the big blockbuster games that like come out these days, but having to sit through like an hour of barely controlling the character to get them make it really hard to go back to those games. And so I get it. And for me, I've struggled with this more than it felt like you have, because you made the cut of multiplayer. Like you just kind of decided it and then you really cut it out, at least from my outside perspective. Whereas for me,
touched it.
I was still kind of squeezing in, trying to play Halo, trying to play Splitgate 1, trying to like find something that hit the itch until I finally gave up. And then I had my brief comeback with Marvel Rivals with my wife. And then I was like, all right, I am out. But like, I was a much slower transition on that than you were.
I just haven't had the desire. And I think you pointed out something good at the start of the show. We're both talking about Battlefield 6, and you mentioned like, hey, none of my friends are really getting it. So I want to play with friends, but why would I pick it up right now? I started really getting back into multiplayer games when I got to college. And I remember seeing them playing at a friend's house. Like 8 dudes lived in this house. They had rented this super sweet pad, and in the living room was the PlayStation 3, and they were playing Black Ops 1. And it was one of those situations where everybody played the account, so that PlayStation was on all day long, and anybody could just sit down and play it, and it was pretty cool. And I saw that, and I was like, oh, wow, COD got cool. What is this? That's kind of, that's how I started getting back into it. I was playing Halo Reach at the time. I was still a Halo person, but all of the college years and the multiplayer stuff in the 360 years, it was always playing with friends. I've gotten older, schedules are weird, and friend group now is like, we're all off, we're older, we're doing different stuff. So literally to sit down and be like, hey, you want to play Helldivers, dude? You and I would have to schedule that like 3 weeks in advance, and they'd be like, no, man, the plumber had to show up today to fix something. So, it just, it's not the same. So I have a thought on this. Some games to suggest that are single player, but not necessarily like hardcore narrative PlayStation 5, like watch 20 minutes of movies kind of a thing. So Hades, Dead Cells, Vampire Survivors, Risk of Rain, the Tony Hawk games, the old Skate games. I think that's one of the comments that we'll talk about in a second. But like if you can play Skate 2 or Skate 3, those are amazing. Downwell, Katana Zero. You mentioned the new Ninja Gaiden game, the 2D one, Ragebound. That's super sick. Astrobot, Fury. Like there are so many games that are going to get you into the action right away. And that's the whole point. You just play it. Like Hades is probably the best out of that list if
Yes.
you like a roguelite or whatever. It's going to have story, but you're just going to play the game, right?
Yeah. And you're going to build up to the story and you can skip through it. Like the story ultimately doesn't matter that much. And so you are free to not engage with it and miss absolutely nothing from the experience of just playing. And it's so good. I still need to finish it so I can buy 2 and feel justified. Actually, I think I did buy 2. So I need to finish it so I can install 2 and feel justified in doing so.
I'll be interested because they did early access for 2. I've just been uninterested in it, even though I love Hades 1. Early access 9 times out of 10 just makes me completely uninterested in the game. I like when it's like, here it is, it's done, it's ready, not like, hey, let's all work together to make it the best it can be. Because most of the time, it never ends up working out. Baldur's Gate, it did super well. And I'm sure with this, Supergiant probably nailed it and it's going to be amazing. But there's just no hype behind it when it's revealed and everybody's participating in the development. It just kind of loses some luster for me.
Yeah,
It's stupid and shallow.
And like it worked out really well for Baldur's Gate, but like I also refused to touch it during early access because I hate the idea of like learning a game and then they change it all because it's early access or whatever. So like I'm pretty sure I bought Hades 2 when it was in early access just to support it because I love the first one and I just watched the NoClip documentary and blah blah blah. But I was like, I will not install it until it is done and I can just play it. I don't want to beta test. I don't want to give feedback. I don't want to change it. I just want to know what the game is. Other games, like if you're not fully limited to purely single player, I mean, there's the kind of like MMO-esque games that don't require you to play with other people, like Warframe, where you can really get in and get invested and whatever, that you never really have to interact with other people. Like sometimes you'll lobby with them or whatever. Obviously the end game's a little different, but like something like that could be easy to like get in and just start fighting without lore dump because most of the lore is kind of out there. But yeah, definitely those quicker session games are so much fun.
I love Wipeout, SSX, all that stuff. The Burnout games. They're mainly, if you go back a generation or two, if you go to the PS3 or even better, PS2, and there's incredible, PCSX2 is a great emulator at this point. So I'm assuming he's probably a PC-only player. Like, the PS2 library has never-ending amounts of great gameplay-focused games.
Yeah. Another genre, since we were mentioning like the roguelites and the hack and slashes, any Diablo lights, so dungeon crawlery games like the Gauntlets, the Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance, those kinds of games are easy, just insta dopamine. You are playing the game, you are going through, and that is it. And there's like a whole bunch of indie ones on Steam that I've been wanting to check out that are supposed to be pretty good as well.
Nice. All right, next comment is from 47 Thundercats. So when you're playing Red Dead Redemption 2 and Assassin's Creed with your wife, what does that actually look like, Epos?
I love that "with" is in quotes. This I wanted to bring up and specifically positioned it after like transitioning to single player because like everything we talk about or what we remember, like even your story just now of getting into multiplayer in college and stuff, like some people don't have that anymore when they come up with gaming. Like the idea of just sitting on a couch and playing a game with a bud. Like the only way I experienced the Uncharted games was watching someone else play them. Like I went over to a buddy's house and he's like, "Have you seen Uncharted?" And I didn't even have a PS3 yet. I was like, "What is this?" And he just played it and it was amazing. Yeah. And like, so we are sitting on the couch together and sometimes we'll trade off controllers, especially on frustrating parts. We might trade off so we don't rage quit. And otherwise, like specifically what we had going was Red Dead I was mainly playing and Assassin's Creed we were kind of trading off equally. But since we dropped that, Horizon Zero Dawn, my wife has primarily been playing. And like I'll pick up a little bit just so I can stay engaged and like feel how it plays. But my wife has been the one to develop all of the mechanical like prowess, being the one primarily playing. So I don't do a whole lot. But I mean, it's trading off. It's picking together what you focus on. Like with Horizon, it's like, all right, so tonight, how are we feeling? Are we going to do story mission stuff? Or are we going to go clear out part of the map, go do corruption zones? Like, what are we going to do here? And just treating it kind of like a cooperative experience, but you don't have to, like, obviously only one of you is playing since it's single player.
I loved that experience. Like having a buddy sit down and play through one of your favorite games and like you're watching, or you both experience it at the first time. It was just fun.
Yeah.
It was just a different dynamic. And I don't think it's just that we've gotten older. I think the whole couch ecosystem is pretty much gone. Like,
And, like,
it's designed about in your house, on your headset, the multiplayer experiences. It's the Fortnites.
It was streaming before streaming. It was just streaming in your living room. And obviously streaming kind of brings up some of those vibes, but I really think you lose a lot when you have a flooding chat of thousands of viewers. Like you're not being talked to or connected with directly. It's so much less meaningful and like connected, in my opinion.
I feel like there's a lot of streamers who will always reminisce fondly about when they had like 6 or 7 people in the chat.
Yes.
Because it was tight and they could answer things and they could talk and it was more participatory, other than like just a lot of people are just playing the game. What you got to do. There's no hate, but they're reading and answering the comments to get the donos to keep the lights on so they can keep streaming.
Yeah.
You know?
No, I miss in 2017, I was briefly a full-time streamer, and I was streaming a bunch of Nioh. Like, I was alternating between COD 4 Remastered. I do a couple single-player games, like I played through DMC Devil May Cry again and a couple others. But, like, my big one I got stuck on a lot was Nioh, which is another Souls-like. And the only reason I made it as far as I did through the game was because people were telling me what to do. Like I had like 5 regular people that showed up, and I had many more viewers, but like the regular chatters, it was like a group of 5 of us that was like so stoked whenever I'd log in and start streaming and be like, all right, you should probably go here, but you really should maybe go this direction and practice the stance first and whatever. And like, it helped so much. Whereas now, like if I do that same stream to like 100 chatters, like nothing productive is going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah, except mean comments. By the way, did you see the state of play? Speaking of Nioh,
not yet. I saw that there's a 3rd, so I really need to play 2. I bought 2 on the PS5 and have never played it.
I did get to see much, but yeah, I saw the logo reveal and I was like, Ebos is going to be pumped.
Yeah, I got stuck in that paralysis mode of like, technically I never finished 1, so should I finish 1 before I play 2? And now 3 is coming out, so I'm like, no, it's been 6 years since I've played 1. I'm just going to pick up 2 and then be ready for 3.
Yep. All right,
dude,
KF
the Dynasty
Harper.
Warriors, real quick.
Oh,
I know this
yeah.
isn't the normal show, but Dynasty Warriors, dude.
I liked did you see the trailer?
Yeah.
It had like the old PS2 or PS1 gameplay.
I want to say PS2.
You got to hand it to the Warriors game. Like, in the latest Switch Direct, there was 2 different Warriors game in it. And they've stuck to their guns. And they clearly are building it at a budget where they can keep making them. Like, how many of these Warriors games have there been at
Dude,
this
it's
point?
insane. They've been going on for so long. And they're up to like 8 or 9 for Dynasty Warriors. They made it up to like 6 or something for Samurai Warriors. We had the Warriors Orochi games, and then we started having all of these spin-offs with like
the Hyrule
Warriors,
Fire Emblem,
Dragon Quest, Fire Emblem. There was one other that was pretty cool. And then they had the All-Stars one on PS4, which is still like the most ridiculous thing that I love that they made. And to me, that is the spiritual successor to the PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale, because they did the little like Smash clone with all the PlayStation icons. Well, then they did a Musou game with all the PlayStation icons. So you got freaking like dead or alive characters fighting Lu Bu, and it's just like, what?
I'll say this. I rented Dynasty Warriors 2 back in the day. It was one of the first PS2 games I played, and I like it, and I own Fire Emblem Warriors. I've never had a super strong draw to play them, but every time I see footage, I'm like, good for you guys.
Yeah.
You ride your horse and just kill literally thousands of people with a spear.
The gameplay is so addictive, but I really struggled as a kid to figure out what the heck you were supposed to do, because it's just like blinking icons on the minimap and you're supposed to go rescue people before they get beat or whatever. But like, I could never play through the story because I had no idea what you were supposed to do. And so playing through All-Stars and Hyrule Warriors on the Switch, like it's a little bit more obvious, like clear as to mechanically how you're supposed to beat the levels. And so I made it pretty far into Hyrule Warriors. So I'm like super hyped on the entire franchise now. I've been going back and playing old ones, and it's great.
That's awesome.
Anyway, that's more. We say more of that for the normal show.
Next comment, good sir. Do you want to read this one?
I got too excited. KF Harper 138. Another banger of an episode. Coincidentally, I think the conversation about gaming as you get older and console wars and the Switch 2 FOMO made me realize why I have mostly played Switch the last few years. When I go to play it, I just get that feeling of it being solely for playing what you want to play. There aren't ads telling you about every new game come out. There are a lot of ads on Switch. I will say that. It doesn't have all the streaming services. It's simply a gaming machine. I can pick it up for 10 minutes or 100 minutes, put it in sleep mode, then bounce away until life lets me. Plus, the games they make typically are easy to understand to play, so if you bounce away for a little while, you can come back without feeling lost as to what needs to be done and the controls. Yes, to me, the biggest boon of handhelds like the Steam Deck and the Switch is that quick, just put it to sleep, pick it back up. My PSP Go can do that, so that's been great. But that's always been the handheld advantage, is putting it to sleep and being able to pick it back up at a moment's notice, which makes that get in and get out gameplay, especially for a busy adult now that can't just sit down for 2 hours every time. It's huge.
Friction, the older you get, is the worst, because I'll just not play something. I've been working on a new video for the channel with Skyrim, and I booted it up the other day, and I know the dance you have to do. The anniversary edition spends 10 minutes downloading all the content in game, and I'm gonna lose 15 minutes. That's half my session. Okay,
Yes.
So I agree with it. They do have ads when you unlock the thing.
Yes.
The little first page has 3 little things they throw there, but it's not nearly as bad as Xbox. Is just horrific. Did you see they went back and updated the 360 dashboard, dude?
No.
They did this a few months ago, I feel like, and it's got more
That's
ads.
so dumb. That's something that whenever we get nostalgic for the old Blades or the XMB, I get kind of confused about it, because I look back on the PS4 dashboard with similar nostalgia. But the more I look at the PS4 dashboard and the PS5, it's because everything is a feed. Even if you just highlight over the game you're playing, it's here's your friend's activity, here's DLC, here's avatar items you can get, blah, blah, blah. And functionality wise, it's fantastic. You can do quick resumes and activities and get help hints. The hints in Astrobot have been amazing. But there's something about the psychology of it advertising to you constantly that just makes it feel less good.
So the PS3, again, I'm making that video. I've just left it on for hours, basically, over here to the right with the XMB and the cool theme moving behind it. And it really was meant to be a living room hub. Whereas now, like you said, the research is there. Little stupid Netflix square tiles showing you stuff all the time.
It's so overstimulating.
It is. It's too much. Turning the PS5 on, I get into the game really quick, which I like. There's 2 things I use with the PS5. The get into the game button, and then looking at my screenshots button. And it's always a pain to find the screenshot section. Maybe I'm an idiot, but you always have to go to that feed that has 18 different customizable widget boxes, and most of them are just ads for the store. And then you have to press square or whatever. Anyway.
It was worse on PS4. It was a lot worse on PS4. But yeah, it's... I really liked, ironically, the PS3 menu buried your ability to just jump into the game more, because you had to go to the game section and then either go down to your disc or your folder of your games and blah, blah, blah. But that made it feel so much more clean, especially, obviously, after a certain point, none of us were using the PS3 as a computer anyway. That concept didn't work, but it's a cool idea to be all right, today I'm going to browse the web. Today I'm going to look at photos and videos. I still have some old webcam videos I recorded on the PS3 that I just keep on there because it's crazy.
It wanted you to own those Blu-rays. You bought movies, you stored it on the hard drive, you played it from the hard drive. It has luxury to it.
You could rip your CDs to it.
Could you really?
Yeah. It is still the only affordable there's a CD format called the SACD, the Super Audio CD, that's surround sound. Dumb format for the most part, whatever. But the PS3 is the way to go to actually be able to rip it and play it.
This box blows me away, dude. This thing, the more I learn, the more I'm just they cooked with it.
Yep.
Ugh. All right, next comment, Domi3457. I resonate really hard with the hard summer. For context, real quick, we were talking about how tough the last summer was in the previous Dual Comm show. So resuming, August was really crazy and honestly very stressful. There were a lot of friends that are studying abroad coming back to our town, and every day was something different going on. Then I had a lot of plans with my girlfriend, and work was also not as great during that time. And at the end, I was so stressed that even when I played, I wasn't really having that much fun. Glad I went on vacation for 2 weeks from everything, and then I started it up, Silk Song. And it just took me back to how much fun gaming really can be. Don't make it your job to play through games, and it can really be an amazing hobby. And my advice for people, no matter what you play stuff blind. Really, just do it. Even multiplayer games. Try to figure it out on your own. It changes so much. Love the podcast. Keep it up. Thank you, Domi or Domi. Playing blind is key. And that's why I hesitated when you were starting Elden Ring. I was messaging him being like, hey, here's a couple of builds to check out. I think it's worthwhile. Like, Elden Ring is one of the few games where I think if you get a nice foundation, don't spoil it, but get a few nice things and know the direction you're going with the build. And then the rest of it, do totally blind. But I was just... Maybe we talked about it on the last show, but I was playing Borderlands 4 and enjoying it, taking my sweet time. And then I had looked, and Shroud, or one of the big streamers, had a YouTube video show up in the feed, which was like 3 or 4 days after the game came out. It's like end game grinding for best loot. And when you race through stuff to go get the meta things that make the whole experience pretty trivial, I get it. I was a looter shooter player and YouTuber for a long time. I get it. It's fun. There is a fun pursuit about breaking the game, but it blew me away for the first time. I was like, oh, wow, I'm old. I'm super casual because I don't want to race through the content to get to the end as fast as possible. I just want to like enjoy the game and the experience. And if all I'm doing is like looking things up to beat it as fast as possible, why play?
Yeah.
Right? It's a pretty freaky question. And some people, I know the reason they like to play is to get achievements and the extrinsic rewards. But I want to play a game because it's fun. And if I'm doing it for rewards that aren't that reason, why am I doing the hobby?
Yeah. I made a video, I don't remember if it was earlier this year or at the end of last year, called The Erasure of the Casual Gamer. And like, I 100% feel like I have been alienated through streaming and YouTube videos about games for a very long time because I was never the person that could put 1,000 hours in the first week of a game. And then suddenly I'm left behind and everyone's like spoiling all the endings and like finding races to all these things. And like, it's cool for the people who are there. But I feel like there are plenty of us that aren't going to be there. And it just feels like there's no room to just enjoy the game at a normal pace anymore. And yeah, to me, like, it absolutely defeats the point. Like, if you've beat it within the first day and you are like rushing to break it, at that point, I'm like, that's just, for me, that's just, yeah, I wouldn't play it. Like, that's not fun anymore. Like, that's what killed me trying to get into World of Warcraft back in the day, was everyone would tell me that the core game itself was pointless and you rush to the end game, and after 60 hours, you're going to make it to the end game, and then that's where the game begins. And I'm like, I will be lucky if I can put 60 hours into a game. What do you mean? This is the bad part.
Yeah. This is the entry fee that you pay to get to the weeklies.
Right.
And the weeklies are the best, dude, because we're going to raid every week. And if you get good luck, you might get a nice full set after 12 weeks of weekly raiding with us.
Dude, in Destiny, I did the what was it called? The Nightwave? Oh, God. It's been so long.
Why? I should know this. I know exactly what you're talking about.
You're the Destiny guy.
Oh my gosh, I know.
The Tuesday thing. It was on Tuesdays.
Weekly hard strike. Destiny. What's it called, everybody? Please don't hate me. I ran a Destiny pod. Oh, what's it called?
I remember it was on Tuesdays. I remember it was a weekly
reset, because reset was on Tuesday.
Oh, right. For sure. Okay.
Oh
whatever it was.
Gosh,
maybe it was
dude,
Thursdays.
We're gonna GPT this. Nightfall. It's the Nightfall. Why didn't I know that? I'm tired.
I remember coming home from college and doing the Nightfalls, and we do
all your characters, all 3 characters, right?
Yeah. Well, I only ever had one at a time. I eventually rolled a second one, but I was like all in on my Warlock, and that was it. But yeah, running the Nightfall and then hanging out with Crota over and over, and like that was fun. But I have way more fond memories of the initial experiences playing through the core story with friends and experiencing the strikes and the raids for the first time with buds, and then like early PvP stuff. Way better. Like at no point do those extra just like grinding the things to hope for Gallarhorn that I never got, or the hand cannon one. Like I never even got it. At no point were those memorable experiences for me. It was always,
oh man,
the core game. And so to me, like, and I understand everyone plays games differently, but I wish there was just a little bit more room for, and it's hard to call us casuals because like we run YouTube channels and stuff. We clearly play a lot of games. And I think the bar for what a casual is like gone through the floor with mobile games and stuff. But like, I wish there were, I guess, the middle ground. I wish there were more room for middle of the road gamers that just play games normally.
Yeah. I got my Gallarhorn the week before Xur sold it. And so the end of year 1 of Destiny, right before the next expansion was coming out, Xur sold it. And I think that was the timing.
That's
and I finally
funny.
got it. And then Bruin, the guy I did the podcast with, he has a screenshot in our old Skype group about me absolutely losing it when Tuesday Reset came and Xur was selling it. And I had some spicy words in all caps because I was pissed. And also another friend of the show, M. Vito, he hadn't played Destiny in flat forever, and I was running Nightfalls with him. He got 2 Gallarhorns.
What?
Literally, he hadn't played in forever, and I have been doing my Nightfalls on all 3 characters to get the Gallarhorn because I wanted it really bad, and he just got it.
That's hilarious.
Never played. Just friggin', that was so funny. We should talk about this in the main show, but the concept of optimizing the fun out of a game,
Yes.
it's just inevitable. Like, gamers do that. And I think there's some very interesting psychology and thoughts behind that, because as a developer, do you design with fun in mind? Do you design with barriers to stop people from optimizing the fun out of the game? Like, what do you do? Let's talk about that in another show, because it's a big one.
Absolutely. Do you want to hit the skate comment real quick before we wrap up?
I do, and I like that the name, the Skater Kid 8.
Yes.
That fits perfect. Dude, have you ever played the skate games? I don't recall you ever talking about them, but the new skate games just came out, and it's the most fun game I've played in a long time. I can play for 20 minutes and enjoy it, or I can play for hours and still have fun, and it's free. That is awesome. Thank you, Skater Kid 8. Yes, I played the original Skate and Skate 2 to death. My Skate 2 disc is like destroyed. That was the game that my buddy would come over, and we would just take turns, and we would go to the mega ramp, and we would just sit there and we'd do run after run after run after run. Those games are awesome. Haven't tried the new one. I'll have to check it out. I didn't know it was free. I've seen mixed stuff from people, but honestly, the internet always surfaces the really controversial and drama and negative takes. So would love to try it. So thank you for that comment.
Yeah, my big thing is it's EA, so they turned it into like a live service MMO thing. So I'm sure there's some fun to be had with it, but like,
yeah, I cringed when I heard free. I was like, darn, another one.
I never played much of Skate itself, but I had Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3 on the GameCube and lived in that game, and I had Darth Vader and all that stuff. Like I lived in that game, so like I always have a soft spot for it. I put a bunch of time into the remaster 1 and 2 that came out. I'm stoked that they're coming back and doing 3 and 4 after all the buyouts and stuff. So. Or maybe it already came out. I don't. Not the biggest genre that I play all the time, but like
3-4 came out.
Okay, well, I'm stoked to play them at some point as well because I loved 3, and it's such a cool genre because it like it's definitely up there with like the session gaming. Like I never connected a lot to a lot of the sports games, but skateboarding was always my vibe. So when I just wanted when I knew I had like 20 minutes or 30 minutes after homework, I'd go downstairs, boot up my GameCube. Start grinding.
So literally grinding.
Yeah.
They're on Game Pass. Skate 3 is, I think, on if you have the Ultimate or whatever the EA thing is. And it's decent. I think they had to, I don't know for sure. Maybe that's how it was. I never owned Skate 3 back in the day, but I think they took out some of the licensed music from the game, and that's how it's on the service.
That was like
so it's
cool
like oddly quiet.
It's so weird to be in the position of like a content creator where we can't use footage with that music in our videos, but like having 2000s like rock music and hip hop and stuff play in like Midnight Club and Burnout and Tony Hawk, like that was such a cool vibe for the time. It was
EA Radio.
Yeah.
They literally like had that branded concept between the games, and that's where I discovered a ton of sick music. Like Burnout and SSX, like that is something that's gone. I understand why, because first of all, licensing it is a nightmare, and the companies are like, whatever, we'll just AI it anyway, and then the streamers can stream it. I do like the games that, upon open, are like, hey,
yes,
if you're going to stream this, click here, and it turns off the copyrighted music.
Yes,
that's that's a good thought, right?
Yes.
So, well, good sir, this was a lot of fun.
Yes, it was.
We didn't get through 30% of all the comments that we have screenshotted here, so I think we have to do this again.
Yes, I think so too. So you all can sound off in the comments if you want as well. And obviously we will still have the normal show going that we will pull from comments too. But I really enjoyed this, and I think it allows us to continue because there are some topics where we start talking about it and then we're like, all right, we need to wrap this up so we can still talk about other things, but like we really like to keep talking about it. So when you have like specific little elements of it that you want to keep asking about, like it's really nice to just keep diving in on some of those topics, because sometimes our main topic of a show we could talk about for like 3 hours and not talk about anything else.
Yeah, for real. Thank you all for listening. Thanks for the support. Thanks for leaving such thoughtful comments. Like it no joke is something that we've been doing for the last year, is sending screenshots back and forth. It inspires new topics, and it's just a lot of fun. And this is a community, and I think there is like a real sense here of thoughtfulness going into it, and how this hobby kind of exists in everybody's life. So I just want to say thanks, and really excited for this new opportunity.
Heck yeah.
So alrighty, thanks so much.
See ya.